The air hurts immediately. You breathe shallow because the cold decides it for you. Each inhale is permission granted, then withdrawn. Your eyelashes stiffen before you notice them. Skin learns its limits without asking. Nothing here waits for comfort. Metal rejects your touch. Plastic turns brittle. Sound travels poorly, then stops caring altogether. Movement becomes a negotiation you lose by inches. You do not rush. Rushing is how the cold takes things. You check your gloves, again, because the environment expects mistakes. It narrows your options until routine feels precise. Standing still is work. So is listening to your own breath. The cold sets the pace. You move with it. You step outside and the air doesn't just chill you, it seizes your lungs mid-breath. At 71 degrees below zero, cold isn't weather, it's architecture. It shapes how you move, how long you stay, how you think. Your exhaled breath doesn't drift. It crystallizes instantly, falling in a glittering cloud that sounds like sand hitting pavement. They call it the whisper of the stars. It happens every time you breathe. The door behind you is double-layered, foam-sealed, never fully closed in one motion. You learn that the first week. Everyone does. Buildings here don't have windows that open. Walls are a meter thick. Heating pipes run through floors like veins. You don't walk outside to think. You don't step out for air. You go out because you have to. The cold finds every gap. Zippers. Seams. The space between your glove and sleeve. Skin exposed for more than a few minutes begins to pale, then ache, then stop feeling altogether. Frostbite doesn't announce itself. It just arrives. There are people who've lived here for decades. They work the same shifts, walk the same paths, wear the same layered suits that make them look twice their size. No one rushes. Rushing means sweating. Sweat means freezing from the inside. Machinery runs constantly. Generators, heaters, snow plows welded together from old parts. If an engine dies in this cold, it doesn't restart easily. Diesel gels. Batteries drain in minutes. Metal becomes brittle enough to snap. So nothing stops. Everything hums. You move between buildings using paths that are roped and lit, even in full daylight. Because once the wind picks up, once the snow begins to move horizontally across the ground, the world reduces to white static. You've seen people get turned around in the space between two doors. Inside, the light is yellow and dim. It's warm enough to remove your outer layers, but you never take off everything. Apartments are small, functional, heavily insulated. There's a control unit in every kitchen that monitors indoor temperature. If it drops below 18 degrees Celsius, alarms sound. It has happened. Food is delivered in bulk, stored in depots that stay naturally frozen. Fresh vegetables are rare, expensive, flown in on unpredictable schedules. Meals are built around what lasts: grains, canned goods, frozen meat. There's no growing season here, no soil, no sun for months at a time. Children go to school underground, connected by tunnels. They wear coats indoors on cold days, not because the heating fails, but because it can't quite keep up. Recess is 15 minutes, sometimes less. Teachers watch them carefully for pale cheeks, for fingers that don't bend right. Work schedules shift around the cold. Outdoor tasks are timed. Rotations are strict. If you're working outside and your partner says it's time to go in, you don't argue. You've both been trained to recognize the signs in each other before you recognize them in yourself. Trucks that move, supplies between sites idle around the clock. Turning them off means hours of reheating, thawing, coaxing them back. Fuel consumption is constant. Deliveries are planned months ahead. There's no such thing as a quick errand. At night, the cold deepens. Not because the temperature drops much further, it's already past the point where degrees stop meaning much, but because the stillness sharpens it. You hear the creak of metal contracting, the snap of wood adjusting. It's not wind, it's the cold itself settling in. You learn not to touch metal with bare skin, not door handles, not railings, not the frame of your glasses. Flesh sticks instantly, pulls away bloody. Everything outside is a surface that wants to take something from you. Some people say you get used to it. That's not quite right. You don't get used to the cold, you get used to the preparation, the routine, the constant calculation of how long you can stay out and what it will cost you. You stop thinking of it as temporary, because this is where people live. This is where they raise children, fix engines, bury their dead when the ground allows. This is a town, not an outpost. And tomorrow, you'll step outside again. You'll hear your breath fall. You'll feel the air take hold. And you'll move carefully, the way everyone here does. Because the cold doesn't compromise. And neither can you. The first winter, you count the days. The second, you stop counting. Time moves differently when the sun disappears for months. When darkness becomes the constant and daylight the exception. Your body tries to hold a rhythm it no longer has a reference for. Sleep fractures, appetite drifts. You wake up unsure if it's morning. People develop routines to anchor themselves. The same breakfast, the same chair, the same walk to work, even though the path never changes. It's not superstition, it's structure. When the environment offers none, you build your own. There are lamps everywhere indoors, full spectrum bulbs that try to mimic sunlight. They help, but not completely. You still feel the absence, a low hum of fatigue that never fully lifts. Some people take vitamins, others sit under light boxes for 20 minutes a day, faces blank, waiting. There's a small gym in the community center, a few weights, a treadmill that's older than most of the people using it. You go, not because you need exercise, but because you need to move in a space that isn't frozen. Sweat becomes a strange luxury. Socializing happens in pockets, in kitchens, in hallways between shifts. There are no cafes, no parks, no places to linger outside. Gatherings are deliberate, planned, someone's apartment. A gong-yong room with a television that gets 3 channels, sometimes 4. You learn who talks too much, who goes quiet when the dark stretches long. You learn who to sit next to. There's a woman who's been here 30 years. She doesn't talk about leaving. She shows new arrivals how to layer clothing properly, how to read the wind, how to keep their face covered without fogging their goggles. She's buried 2 husbands here, both in summer when the ground thaws enough to dig. She says the cold teaches you what matters. She doesn't elaborate. Mail arrives once a week, sometimes less. Packages take months. Orders are placed in bulk with backups for the backups. If you forget something, you don't just go buy it. You make do, you borrow, you wait. Children who grow up here speak about the cold the way other kids speak about traffic or rain. It's just there, part of the map. They don't romanticize it. They don't fear it the way newcomers do. They know which buildings connect underground. They know how long they can stay out. They know the sound of bad wind. They also know what grass smells like only from visits somewhere else. There are things you give up without deciding to. Spontaneity, variety, the ability to step outside on a whim. You don't go for walks to clear your head. You don't sit on a porch and watch the sky change. The outdoors is not a place you inhabit. It's a place you pass through quickly, with purpose. Relationships here are compressed, intense not because of drama, but because of proximity. You see the same faces every day. You hear the same voices. You know everyone's routine because there's no avoiding it. Privacy is thin, arguments are quiet. People leave space for each other because there's no physical space left to take. Some people stay a year, some stay a lifetime. The ones who leave talk about missing seasons, missing green, missing the feeling of warmth without machinery. The ones who stay don't talk much about why. Maybe it's work, maybe it's stubbornness. Maybe it's the suspicion that nowhere else would feel like enough after this. There's a moment in deep winter when the cold is at its worst, when you step outside and the air is so still you can hear nothing. Not wind, not engines, not voices, just your own breath falling like snow. And in that moment, the world is reduced to you and the cold and the sky above, sharp and black and full of stars that don't flicker. It's not beautiful in a way that comforts. It's beautiful in a way that reminds you how small you are. Spring, when it comes, is not warm. It's less cold, the sun returns, the temperature climbs to 40 below, then 30. It feels like relief. People shed a layer. They stand outside a few minutes longer. There's no bloom, no thaw that turns the ground soft, but the light changes. The air loses some of its bite, and that's enough. You don't conquer cold like this. You negotiate with it, you dress for it, you plan for it, you respect it. And on the days when you forget, when you rush or cut a corner or assume you'll be fine, it reminds you. There are no monuments here, no plaques that celebrate survival, just people going to work, fixing what breaks, raising children who will know cold before they know heat. Just another day measured not in hours, but in how many times you go outside and come back intact. The cold doesn't care why you're here. It doesn't care if you stay or go. It just is. And so are you.